Getting organized. Getting organized. Okay, that's gonna have to do, y'all. Keep trying to get organized. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Grab your coffee, grab your lemon water, grab your tea, your wine, or your margarita. Whatever works for you, whatever's your favorite drink. I have lemon water tonight. So happy Monday. Greetings. First, I want to give a big shout out to my viewers who may be catching this on the replay. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, but a big shout out to those of you who might be catching this on the replay. So greetings, everyone that has joined the room. Thank you for watching. My name is Tammy, and I'm with the Girl Get It Together movement. And our goal is to educate women, empower women, inspire women, and help transform the lives of women. So that is our mission. That is my mission. And on Monday nights at 7:30, we will be talking about life topics, and how to get better, how to deal with different things. We all go through a lot of different things. So we will be talking about it right here in the coaching corner. So I'm excited. So forgive me if I seem a little bit, this takes some coordination to do when you're going live. So just be patient with me until I get this down pat. I'm learning. I think it's good to learn something new every day. So I'm really excited. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me see some hearts. I want to see some love in the room. I want to feel some love in the room. Hello, Ronnie Span, Gina Sanders, Shaitan, everyone. Hello. Let me see some hearts. Okay, great. I'm feeling the love in the room. Feeling the love in the room. Okay, so tonight, for the next few minutes, that's a lot of love. I'm loving it. Last week, we talked about toxic people. Toxic people, toxic relationships. So I wanted to continue that conversation, and just a brief recap from last week. Last week we talked about, dealing with toxic people, identifying toxic people. Who are they? They might be your family member. They might be a coworker. That toxic person might be your boss. They might be a good friend. A toxic person could be anyone. So first, identify who that toxic person is and the behaviors, and how do you deal with it. Some people mentioned last week, what if it's your spouse? What if it's your girlfriend or your boyfriend? So I thought it was a good conversation, and I wanted to take a few minutes so that we can revisit the conversation and talk about dealing with toxic people. So first, let's identify. So first, let me just see some thumbs up if you have dealt with a toxic person. Dealt with a toxic person, or currently dealing with a toxic person, or you encounter a toxic person on a daily basis. Let me see a thumbs up if you can relate to dealing with a toxic person. Okay, great. So let's talk about it. So identifying what a toxic person is and some of the things that they might say. Typically, it's something negative. It's always about them. And after you talk to them, how do you feel after you talk to them? I think we all can relate to dealing with a toxic person or being in a toxic relationship. So knowing what toxic feels like first. What does it feel like? Does it make you feel heavy? Does it make you feel bad? So dealing with someone who's toxic or those behaviors, it can be exhausting. So number two, you want to notice the patterns in relationships. In a relationship of being toxic, what is the pattern? Does this happen every day? Is there a big argument? And how are you dealing with it? So if it's a pattern every day and very often, then you're dealing with a toxic person. And believe it or not, it takes a lot of energy to deal with toxic people. And it can be draining. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes. So number 3, dealing with a toxic person who might want to argue all the time or pick a fight. Do not get reeled in. People who are toxic, they get excited off of reeling you in and pulling you into their drama and pulling you into your argument, into their argument. And before you know it, you're in the argument. So don't get reeled in. So you're going to identify what toxic feels like. You're going to notice the patterns and don't get reeled into the toxic behaviors. So number 4 on my notes, do not match the behavior. Typically when it's a toxic situation or a toxic conversation, a person will say something that will hurt another person. People who are close to us, they know what hurts us, right? So do not match the behavior. So don't stoop to their level. Number 5, educate yourself. Every day you can educate yourself about what toxic behavior looks like, how you deal with it, how do you respond, and how do you identify it. We all have dealt with a lot of different situations, and our life experiences kind of sum up who we are, our behaviors, how we act, how we respond to people, and most importantly, how we treat people. So I really believe it's important that we're constantly working on ourselves. We're constantly developing ourselves and getting better. None of us are perfect, so we all can use some room for improvement, right? So we are talking about dealing with toxic people and dealing with toxic behaviors. We live in a world where it's a lot of chaos and it's a lot of different things going on. Oops, sorry. A lot of different things going on, and how do we deal with those behaviors of not getting reeled in? One of the other things that I want to talk about is a couple of people mentioned last week about relationships. What if the toxic person is my husband or my boyfriend? Again, let's go back to the patterns. What are the patterns in the relationship? Taking a look at yourself. I think that's the first person we need to look at. I can relate to being in a toxic relationship and also responding in ways that I should not have responded. So think about, what part do you play in the toxic situation that's going on? You might need to change your language or how you respond, because again, dealing with toxic behaviors, toxic people is a lot of energy, and typically it's someone who's close to us, family or someone that we love, and it might even be our children. So it's really important that you change how you respond to toxic behaviors. We should know the signs. So if it's something that's negative and something that is not positive, and usually, I hate to even say this, but toxic people, they want attention. They want you to respond to them. They want you to be angry because sometimes they are unhappy on the inside. Again, we all have something that we can work on and we can get better every day. But dealing with someone who's toxic on a daily basis, think about what that's doing to you. Think about the energy that you are spending dealing with the toxic person. And until you cannot solve a problem until you admit that you have one or you want to get better. And we cannot change people. So let's remember that. Unfortunately, every day I encounter dealing with someone who's toxic or some type of negative behavior. So it's something that's constant that we have to continue to work on. So let me see some thumbs up if you are willing to work on how you respond to toxic behaviors. Let's see some thumbs up. I hope you have your favorite drink. I have my lemon water. Okay, great. I see a quick question. How do you respond? So that can be tricky. Depending on the response or the statement that someone says to you, how do you respond? If it's something negative and you know that they're trying to reel you in, you could say, that's interesting. They may not know how to respond to it, but it kind of leaves you in the middle. And if you also feel like you're being pulled into a negative situation or a toxic situation, you can listen, definitely listen more, and then respond by saying, okay, so how do you think you're going to solve that? You put it back into their court. Like, don't offer any solutions. Now, there are a lot of different scenarios when we're talking about dealing with toxic people, so you will have to definitely proceed with caution. But my main message for this session tonight, as a follow-up from last week, is I really want you to evaluate what's going on in your life. This is March. We're in 2018 and we want to get better and we want to be better. That's what Girl Get It Together is about. And it's also for guys. Guy Get It Together too. So taking an inventory of what's going on in your life. Are you dealing with toxic people? How is it affecting you? How is it making you feel? Do you feel heavy? If it's a toxic conversation on the phone, we have to make adjustments in our lives in order to get better and to improve and to be better every day. If you're not improving, you're not growing. You're not getting better. And so we have to identify what toxic feels like. And are you toxic? Are you contributing to something that's toxic? So let me just take, for example, real quick, our children. When our children we get them up for school in the morning, sometimes I can remember as a parent, we're yelling and we're screaming, get this, get your shoes, we got to get out of the door. Well, that causes them to be upset and then they have to go to school. So we have instantly created a toxic morning for our children, and we just have to plan a little bit better. So that's just an example of how we might be playing a part in a toxic situation, and not intentionally, but just changing things up just a little bit better and getting more prepared. And that goes for you also, for yourself, is making sure that you're not creating a toxic environment. So I encourage all of you who are viewing or catching this on the replay to create a calm space where you feel relaxed, in a space that you enjoy, because we live in a chaotic world. So how do you relax? Your self-care is very, very important. Taking care of you. So if this is helpful, let me see some thumbs up. I love interaction. Most of my students every day, they know I love interaction. So let me see some thumbs up if this is helpful for you as we are talking about dealing with toxic people and toxic relationships. Okay, great. So let me just do a really quick recap for you. Hello to, I have a couple of moderators in the room, Miss Gina Landers and Vera Graves. Thanks so much for moderating, being a moderator and just being in the room, and for your support. So thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for tuning in to the Girl Get It Together session. I hope to do this on Mondays at 7:30. I will be out of town next week, so I'm not sure if I will be able to go live on Monday. I might have to record it, but I will do my best to log in. So I also need you to comment in the comment section about topics that you would like to talk about, because this is life. We're just going to talk. We will just talk about it. Our life experiences, my life experiences. We learn life lessons every single day. So let's talk about it. No matter what it is, we can talk about it right here. We got to keep it clean, of course. So just a quick recap. Continuing our conversation from last week, dealing with toxic people, identifying what toxic is. Of course, we know it's negative. It doesn't feel good. Notice the patterns. If it is a continued pattern every single day, and if you've been dealing with a toxic situation for years, imagine what that's doing to you. Imagine what that's doing to your overall health. your mental health, your physical health. It's affecting you, believe it or not. Noticing the patterns in the people that you deal with in relationships. I think we get to a point in our lives where we want just more happy, a little bit more happy. Each day is not promised. So just finding what your happy is in your happy place and enjoying that. And if there's a situation that doesn't bring that and it's toxic, then you might need to do some evaluating of how you need to make some adjustments. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would advise you to make some adjustments that are best for you. Don't get reeled in. I think there's always a hook. This is a quick recap. Don't get reeled into toxic behaviors of someone pulling you in. Do not match the behavior. Typically, we're ready to pull our blade and match the behavior and insult the other person. And then later we're feeling bad or we're apologizing. So we have to take responsibility also for our actions and our responses of what we might say when we're talking about toxic behaviors, because we live in a get back world. Well, she said this, so I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get back at her. Not right. Not right. Okay. And then educate yourself. That's the best thing that you can do, is continue to educate yourself about toxic behaviors and how you deal with them and how you respond to them. So again, do some self-evaluation for you too. So are you the toxic person? What kind of energy do you bring when you walk into a room or when you go to work or wherever it is that you go and whoever it is that you are around? And just by a thumbs up, if you can relate of dealing with a person who you dread talking to, or when the phone rings, you dread talking to that person. Why? Because they're toxic, and it takes a lot of energy to deal with that person or to talk with that person. And more importantly, as I kind of bring this in and wrap this up, as we're talking about toxic people and toxic behaviors, when people become too much work, we have to make some changes. And remember, this is for a better you. This is for you to get it together, for you to be better, for your overall health, your mental health, and your peace of mind. One of the other things I want to mention to you is, or a question, what is your happiness worth to you? So if you're watching this and you're dealing with a toxic situation or a toxic person, and I can relate, you have to ask yourself the hard question: what is my happiness worth to you? Now, my answer is worth everything. My happiness is worth everything. So being true to yourself and honest with yourself and asking yourself, what is your happiness worth to you at this point in your life? So that wraps up this session about dealing with toxic people. So that was short and sweet. That's kind of how I want to keep it on Mondays, and talking about life. Let's talk about it. So there's a quick question. Okay. Great. I love reading the comments. Make sure you comment in the comment section of topics you would like to talk about so that I can get a schedule going and we can talk about some of these topics. And hopefully at some point I can invite some of you to, so I can talk to you. This is all new, but I can invite you to the room so that we can hear some of your knowledge and your experience and your expertise. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. I know I have. I'm looking forward to more great, meaningful conversations of talking about life lessons. So thank you all for joining in and tuning in tonight. Don't forget to comment in the comment section of topics you would like to talk about. If you're catching this on the replay, make sure you comment below so that I can follow up with you. I want to know what's on your mind. This is the Girl Get It Together movement. Girl Get It Together. Our purpose is to educate empower, inspire, and help transform lives every day. It's just one day at a time. I'm loving the hearts. I'm loving the love in the room. I hope you all have enjoyed this session. Tonight I'm drinking my lemon water, so I hope that you are getting your water intake in. Thank you all for viewing and tuning in. This is going to be great. Looking forward to it. Remember to do what you love and be true to you. And I hope those tips helped with dealing with toxic people. I will see you soon.